Failure is necessary for growth. What do I mean by this? You know, for example, in my life, I've failed many times. And failure is kind of subjective, right? Failure can be anything. Sometimes failure can just be us setting our standards too high and then, letting ourselves down. Failure can be anything. Recently, I've tried, to cook. I've tried to learn how to cook more things and I've failed with those recipes. I've wasted a lot of food trying to learn recipes. I had to force myself to eat a lot of things that I didn't want to eat because I failed. But in doing so and failing, I got better at it. I know what not to do now. And even, maybe with YouTube, I don't really consider any video a failure because I got to learn from it. If a video gets 0 views, I still learned the process of making a video, uploading a video. The whole process of, being behind the camera. I still gain knowledge from that. You know what I mean? Failure is necessary for growth. If you don't fail, you will not grow. If you lived a life without failure, I would argue that you haven't lived a life at all. I would argue that someone who has failed more than you knows more than you. In all seriousness, someone who has failed more has more knowledge than someone who hasn't. That's what experience is. You've made more mistakes and therefore you know what not to do. And because you know what not to do, you know exactly what to do. The more mistakes you make, the less likely you'll be able to make those mistakes again. And if you're not making mistakes, you're, closer to perfection. A lot of people view failures as, setbacks and, wastes of time. And it's really the opposite. It's not a waste of time. There's no such thing as a waste of time. Even if you don't learn anything, you still had that experience, right? It's still one thing that you can say that you did, even if it does fail. There's no such thing as a waste of time when it comes to, trying things because you actually tried. Most people don't even try. If you failed something, you still have the bragging rights of saying that you tried. I tried to learn new recipes. I try and I'm still trying to do this YouTube thing. I have the bragging rights of saying I tried to do it. I started it. I tried and then most people, they give up. They try once or twice, 3 times, 10 times, they give up. So the more times you fail, the more bragging rights you have. You can say that, well, hey, I tried 10 times, 20 times, 100 times. Even if you failed 100 times, you still have the bragging rights of saying, hey, I tried. I didn't give up like you. I didn't give up like everyone else. I tried 1,000 times, failed 1,000 times. And then you still have the bragging rights of saying that you tried. You didn't give up. That's what this video is about. Failure is necessary for growth and learning anything. Anything you do, you have to fail at. And I would say the more you fail, the better you will be at it. Let's go back to the YouTube analogy. I don't consider a video a failure, even if it gets 0 views, even if it gets 0 likes. It could get 100,000 dislikes, and I still won't view it as a failure because, once again, I tried. I got a video out that day. I put myself out there, and I did what I thought was right. I view that as a success. Now, speaking of success, that's another way people view failures. Is like, okay, if you're not successful, then you must be a failure. And that couldn't be further from the truth. Failure is a stepping stone towards success. You need failure to achieve success. Without failure, there is no success. If you call yourself successful and you've never failed, you've never made a mistake, I would have to question whether you're actually successful or not. Let's say someone got rich from crypto. They got, they gambled their money, whatever happened, and they ended up getting a lot of money. I wouldn't view that person as successful. What did they do? What did they learn? What type of trials and tribulations did they go through? Nothing. They got rich off of, maybe the NFTs or the crypto or things like that. And that doesn't build character. I wouldn't view that person as a successful person versus someone who, let's say they did the exact same thing. They studied the crypto market forever, for months, years, and eventually they kept on, they kept on failing, losing money, or really just studying in general, and then eventually they finally hit it big. I would view that person as successful because they went through something. They know more than the other person who just got lucky. It's almost necessary that we fail so that we can actually solidify our success. Without failure, your success really isn't real. There is no success without failure. So every time you fail, think about this. This is one step closer to being successful. This is one step closer to being better at whatever it is you're doing. Had you not failed that time, you would have been worse off. If you just succeeded, quote unquote succeeded, because you're not really succeeding if you don't make mistakes. But if you call yourself successful time after time again, you're not making mistakes, there is no growth. You're not learning anything. You're just kind of doing what you think is right, and what happens to be working. You're getting lucky. You're not learning anything. Failure is necessary for growth. Failure is necessary to learn things. Nobody learned how to ride a bike without falling, at least once. Nobody learned how to skate. Heck, even if you're a baby, if you try to teach a baby how to walk, the baby's gonna fall over on his face. I see his or her face, and start crying, and he's gonna do it again and again and again. And eventually he's gonna take a few steps and then fall, and then try again and again and again. Take a few more steps and then fall, and then try again and again, and eventually the baby will start walking. Now imagine if the baby started walking as soon as it was born. There's no growth. That'd be weird. That's strange. You'd have to question it. That doesn't seem right. You know what I mean? There's no development. Something's not right. It's missing something. So failure think of it as a trophy. Think of it as a trophy for when you finally do succeed. You can look back and be like, okay, yeah, this is all the things that I learned. These are all the things I went through. These are all the stories I can tell about my success story. Failure is not a bad thing. Think of it as a video game, just a loading bar. The bar just loading, until the game is finally ready to play. All those failures, boom, 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 boom. It's eventually gonna finish. Then you finally get to play the game. That's what I view success as. It's getting closer and closer to what is successful. A real success, not fake success. So look back on all your failures and think, okay, what did you learn? How did you grow from them? Even if you think, okay, it was a waste of time, and let's say you abandoned it. Let's say you made a few mistakes and you never did that activity again. What did you learn? Even still, what did you learn from that? Let's say you tried to skateboard once or twice. You failed and you just gave up. You still learned something. Maybe you learned that you don't like being in uncomfortable situations. Maybe you don't like to learn new things. You learned something. Something positive at that. It's always something positive. There's always a positive takeaway with every situation. For example, let's say you're a guy and you wanted to plan an event. You want to plan an event, plan a party, plan a wedding, whatever it may be. You're planning an event and something out of your control. It snows that day or it rains that day, and then you have to cancel the event. Some people would say that's a failure. You failed to plan the event. But in reality, even then, there's still things to be learned. There's still things to be learned, even with the things that are out of our control. For example, some things might just be teaching you patience. Patience. Failure is always going to teach you patience. Patience waiting on that success that is to come. Oftentimes, that's what a failure also is. Failures that are out of our control can also teach us to be grateful for what we have. Let's go back to the analogy of, you planned an event and things didn't go according to plan, you can still be grateful for what you have, right? Even if you had to cancel plans, hey, you still had this many people that you invited and they all showed up, or they all wanted to show up. That's something to be grateful for. There's always something to be grateful for in every situation, whether it's good or bad. There's always something to take away from it. Oftentimes, you just have to look into the internal instead of the external. The external is the, whatever failed event you might think it is, but the internal is, okay, maybe you can just be more grateful. Maybe you can be more patient. Maybe you can be, or maybe it's even just shaping you to be a better person in general. Everything can be a learning lesson, and everything can make you into a better person if you allow it to. Some things that we allow to turn us into negative. Turn us. Sometimes, bad things might happen, failures might happen, and then we turn it into something negative unnecessarily. But there's always a way to turn it into positive. But some people, they allow the negativity to seep in, and they let the failures get to their head. They think, maybe I should just give up. Maybe this isn't for me. Maybe I should just, try something else. And I'll be the first to tell you, I've tried so many different things. I didn't even want to be a YouTuber. Well, I don't want to say I didn't want to be a YouTuber, but I didn't really see it as something serious until like later on in life, right? And I was initially thinking, okay, maybe I'll be an electrician, right? Then I failed at that. So I decided, okay, let me try something else. I was trying all these different things. Nothing was working. Didn't feel, any enjoyment out of anything. And I finally just picked up a camera again. I had an very old YouTube channel when I was a kid. I was doing Roblox, playing Roblox video games. That was fun. That was fun back in the day. Picked up a camera again, and now I'm having fun again, right? I'm not getting paid for these videos, so I'm actually having real fun with these videos. I like having my voice heard, and that's why I can't view any video as a failure, because I had fun in the process. You're not a failure if you're having fun. You're not a failure if you're learning things. You're not a failure if you are improving as a person. In conclusion, you're not a failure. No matter what you might be telling yourself, or no matter what, the societal expectations are, maybe your parents' expectations, your friends' expectations. Put all that aside, you're not a failure because you're still trying. Even if you might need to try something different, you're still trying. Anyone who tries is automatically not a failure. The people who give up, those are the failures. Those are the failures. They give up and then they just give up completely. It's different than, trying to pivot to something else. That's not a failure. If something doesn't work out for you, it doesn't work out for you. But if you pivot to something else, you're still trying to be better, trying to do what works for you, you're not a failure. You're quite the opposite. People like that are on the path to success. If they see that one thing doesn't work, they try something else. That is a soon to be successful person, in my opinion. The people who quit upon, 1, 2, 3, 10 times after doing something, I don't know where they're going in life, but it's probably not anywhere where they want to be. Once again, this is my opinion, but I say all that to say that, think twice before, throwing these expectations onto yourself, thinking you're a failure when you're not. You're only a failure when you give up. That's the only time you're a failure. You're only a failure if you give up. If you never give up, you will never be a failure. It's that simple. But with that said, y'all, have a blessed day. Thanks for watching. I'm out.